Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers have practically built themselves.
Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv and welcome to today's show. Today we are going to be looking at some of the armor builds that I've done in the past, most of which before I started the channel, but that I have not covered on the channel. So there's a few pieces, German pieces, a few U.S. Army pieces, and thought guys might find it interesting to see them, the subjects, and a little bit about how I built them. So, without further ado, stick with Mad Dog Merv as we look at some of my 1/35th scale armor collection.
So the theme on this show is pretty much going to be Pershings and some different variants that I've built. This particular one just screamed, "Hey Merv, you got to build this." This is an actual picture taken in late World War II of a Pershing turret that was fitted to the hull of an M4 Sherman tank. And yes, it did fit. I had to build it, so I got a Pershing, got an M4, and here you go. Here's my version of it. This was a lot of fun to build. I think it's a really neat looking tank. You can see there's a little bit of a gap on the skirt that I did wind up having to fill, but turned out pretty good. The fun part of my collection, definitely. As you can see, it's definitely something I'm pretty proud of just because it's so weird. Okay, then there's the T-26 E3. This was actually fielded in the late part of World War II. It actually saw combat. This is the version where they took some armor from a Panther and put on the front. They also welded up some other armor pieces and put here on the wings. This is as it appeared in Europe in 1945. And I was lucky enough to get it in one of the kits. I got a couple of Hobby Boss kits, and I can't remember if it was that or a different kit, maybe Cyber Hobby. Anyway, it had an engine and transmission for one of these, and I went ahead, built it, opened it up like this, got the crew out there on it. Really like how that one turned out. So this is what's called the Super Pershing. You can tell by that big weight on the back of the turret. The T-26E4, also known as the Super Pershing. This also had that really long, really lethal gun attached to it, but this one took one-piece ammunition versus the predecessor, which took a two-piece ammunition. But this was a really neat tank, really long barrel, and so of course I had to have one. So you can see the light weathering that I gave it with some variant of an olive drab over the olive drab, a little bit of dust and mud, not a whole lot, just enough to make it look like, well, it had at least been in the depot for a while. So now onto a regular Pershing. This is just the regular Pershing that would have saw a battle after World War II, well, the end of World War II as well, but post-war mostly into Korea. And this was your standard Pershing tank. You notice the gun is a lot shorter on this. The 90 is the standard 90 that came on the Pershing turret. This was one of my first attempts at doing mud weathering, so sorry, please forgive me folks. This was about, about 12 years ago that I did this, but I like how it turned out. I would like to redo that mud. I just don't like how that went. But anyway, from the earlier days of my builds, and you can see these different angles. I think it's a beautiful tank, really good looking tank. Definitely though, my skills have improved over what you see here with this slathered on mud. But anyway, pretty neat looking tank in my book. So there's another variant here that I would like to show you folks, and that is the T-26E2, also known as the M45. The M45, there was 185 of these built. right at the end of the war. They didn't see service in World War II, but they have a 105 millimeter gun, very similar to the 105 on the Sherman. Of course, this was the updated chassis, the latest chassis now, so they put the 105 on here. Kind of a neat looking tank. It has an interesting exhaust system that I had to custom build on here, and you can see how that turned out. It definitely needs a wash. So off to the Waffenträger. This particular build, this one is the trumpeter kit with the 128 millimeter gun on it. And I built this about 5 years ago. I really like the camo effect on this. The figures, I think, were some that I had built from many years ago, and I just kind of included them in this picture to kind of see what they would look like on board. Definitely these were not something I painted anytime recent, just some older figures, but definitely like how this particular build looks. Okay, so let's move on to this Amtrak, this 35th scale. Who the heck makes this? Italieri, thank you. Really like how this one came together, how it turned out. This was screaming at me to weather it because I wanted to build something that would be dropping troops off on an island in the Pacific. So I did my best to try and make the mud and the water splatters and all that kind of fun stuff. Added an antenna to this, an antenna mount. I got some good Ma Deuces from the Tasca kit, Azuka, whatever you want to call them this week, but very, very nice. I think the 30s came from a Academy weapon set, but I had a lot of fun weathering this. You can see the subtle in the panel lines, and then some of the flatter areas that are a little bit more faded. I really had fun doing the weathering on this particular one, and you can see here, yeah, I like how that turned out. So anyway, some of these I just had so much fun building over the years. There's the front end. So one last thing I wanted to show you guys is this. This is a taste of what we will hopefully see in part 2. Yeah, it's a Sherman. It's a Sherman with a 76 millimeter gun. Also, you'll notice a horn there on the side. This is the Sherman from Kelly's Heroes. Now, I don't have any other pictures of it, but again, we will cover this in part 2. Yes, I have a Kelly's Heroes Sherman, and we'll show you all about that. So, thanks for joining us, folks.